man, we got some immigration officers coming.
How's it going, officer?
Registration, please. Oh yeah, of course, officer. Here. Yeah, I'm my name is John. Here, I'm American.
Let me see.
I voted for Donald Trump.
Where are you coming from?
I was just working. You know what? In this, I was working in these apartment complexes. There's a lot of immigrants of
Be quiet. You look very illegal too.
Sir, I voted for Donald Trump. My name is John Rivers.
Your name is not John Rivers.
Sir, that's John Rivers.
That's Juan Rios.
Yeah, but Juan Rios is my Mexican name.
You're gonna have to get out the car.
Sir, I'm
You're
American.
Gonna have to get out the car.
I voted for Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? This is unfair.
The Latinos that voted for Trump because of the economy. I'm sorry, I'm trying. How's it going?
Because I've been thinking a lot about this, and I know it's going to be controversial, but I'm actually rooting for Latinas and Latinos who voted for Trump. I really am. I really hope that they get everything that they voted for, and I hope that they never forget who they voted for. So when they're waving goodbye to their undocumented partner because they got deported back, I want them to remember who they voted for. When their abuelita needs life-saving care, but there is no Medicaid because it's been slashed to the bone, I want them to remember who they voted for. When they watch their nieces and nephews struggle because birthright citizenship is gone and all of a sudden their family isn't welcome, I want them to remember who they voted for. When they have a child with special needs but there's no funding, no resources, no Department of Education, I want them to remember who they voted for. When all of a sudden their family's neighborhood is targeted with more policing instead of community support, I want them to remember who they voted for. When there's no money for your family but a whole bunch for billionaires, I want them to remember who they voted for. When environmental protections vanish and the air is so disgustingly polluted that their kids develop asthma or something similar, I want them to remember who they voted for. When discrimination increases and they are harassed incessantly because they will never be white, I want them to remember who they voted for. Call me petty, but sometimes getting exactly what you voted for is the only way to understand it.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Joy Report. In today's video, we're going to talk about Latinos for Trump largely regretting their vote. The 2024 election came and went, and many Latinos proudly cast their vote for Trump, believing his promises, his tough stance on immigration, and his so-called dedication to the American dream. They thought they were securing their place in a country they love, protect their businesses and their communities. But now, reality has hit, and it hit hard. The same man they cheered for, the same policies they defended, have turned against them. Now, they regret their decision, realizing they fell for the same illusion of inclusion that was never meant for them. If this is the kind of videos you enjoy, please consider subscribing, liking and sharing so that YouTube may recommend it to a wider audience. And so now, without further ado guys, let's go straight into this video. But first, let me play you a few clips on this matter and I'll come back with my commentary. As a side note, all credit goes to the creators of these videos.
Like so many other Venezuelans, she cheered when Donald Trump was elected.
Yes, I believe there is a large community of Venezuelans who did.
What she didn't expect is for those policies to throw her life in limbo. Carol is one of hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan immigrants who were granted temporary protected status, or TPS, under the Biden administration. President Trump wiped that away for all Venezuelans. Were you surprised?
Sí, totalmente. Yes, totally. Practically the same day he took office, he went against Venezuelans.
I don't even know what to think anymore. This has got to be the dumbest group of people known to mankind. When somebody has been telling you the same shit for the past 3 years, what do you think is going to happen differently? You think he was joking around? You think he was just like telling you these things for kicks? No. They literally have it in Project 2025. The GOP has this in writing. Some of you are like, were dropped in the head when you were children.
They didn't ask me for any ID. I was telling the officer if I can give him the ID, but he said that just keep my hands up, not moving. And then after that, he told me to get out of the car, and then he put the handcuffs on me. And then he went to me and said, how did I get into this country? And if I was waiting for court or if I have any case. And I told him I was an American citizen. And he looked at his other partner like, you know, smiling, like saying, can you believe this guy? Because he asked the other guy, do you believe him?
Machado said he was uncuffed and immediately released after showing his driver's license. The two men with him were taken into custody. He does not know why. The incident has caused him to reflect.
Definitely, because like I say, I was Trump supporter. I voted for Trump. last elections, but because I thought it was gonna be the things, like be pointless, like just go against criminals, not every illegal Hispanic looking like that. They will assume we are illegals,
So, do you think that's what they're doing now?
That's what they're doing now. They're just following Hispanic people looking like.
Did y'all hear Trump is paying $7,000 to turn an immigrant in? Maria, you gotta go, Maria. Trump looking for you. No.
For years, many Latinos believed that aligning themselves with conservatives' values, keeping their heads down, and proving their work through hard work would secure their place in American society. Some even embraced anti-immigrant rhetoric, convinced that the crackdown would only affect other Latinos, those who didn't work as hard, didn't assimilate enough, or simply weren't the good ones. They thought that if they distanced themselves from undocumented immigrants, from asylum seekers, from those who spoke Spanish too loudly in public, they would be seen as different, as American, as belonging. But Trump's policies were never about separating the good from the bad. They were about exclusion, control, and power. And now, many Latinos who thought they were safe are finding themselves in the crosshairs. The very policies they supported, the same policies they defended, are now tearing them apart, closing the doors they once walked through and threatening the security they believed they had. One of the first betrayal came swiftly: immigration. Trump made Latinos believe that he was only targeting criminals and illegal border crossings. But after securing power again, his administration ramped up ICE operations, reinstated inhumane separations, and revoked protections that many Latino immigrants depended on. TPS for Venezuelans, gone. Asylum pathways for Cubans, slashed. Fast-tracking deportations for anyone without proper documentation, no matter how long they had lived in the US. That became the norm. People that had built their lives in America for decades, with children who knew no other home, were suddenly at risk of being ripped apart. The raids came swiftly. ICE increased operations in predominantly Latino neighborhoods, rounding up individuals with minor infractions or outdated paperwork. The same Latinos who once believed that Trump's immigration policies were necessary were now witnessing their friends, neighbors, and even their own being detained and deported. Many had convinced themselves that as long as they had legal status, they would be protected. But that illusion shattered the moment they saw Trump's policies did not discriminate between those who had just arrived and those who had lived in the country for years. It didn't stop at immigration. Latino-owned businesses, which once saw Trump as a champion of economic growth, are now struggling under restrictive labor laws and increased policies in Spanish-speaking neighborhoods. Many industries that rely on Latino workers, i.e. agriculture, construction, and hospitality, are feeling the squeeze as Trump pushes for stricter employment verification and mass deportation. The very communities that once celebrated their inclusion in the Make America Great Again movement are now facing the harsh reality that they were never truly part of it.
Let's talk about Latinos for Trump for a second. Latinos for Trump, it is time to embrace the consequences of your actions. I've always been a firm believer of fighting fire with fire. If somebody goes low, I'll go lower. As many of you may know, right now Latinos for Trump are currently in the FO phase of FAFO. From the spouses of Trump supporters being detained by ICE, to Latinos for Trump being pulled over by ICE, to Cubans and Venezuelans being banned from entering the US despite overwhelmingly supporting and voting for Donald Trump. If you have a Latino for Trump in your family, whether it's your mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, aunt, or uncle, let them go to that group of people that they're so desperately trying to assimilate to. Let them try to fit in. Because one thing about Latinos for Trump is that they put assimilation and subservience over their own dignity. And you don't want that rubbing off on you. Because remember, guys, no matter how hard they try to assimilate, no matter how desperately they try to fit in, no matter how badly they want to be accepted, no matter how many MAGA hats they wear, no matter how many Trump rallies they go to, they will never be seen as the same. And I've always said they're going to find that out the hard way, and it looks like it's already happening. But anyways, if you have a Trump supporter in your family, let them go, let them fend for themselves, let them assimilate.
As a Latino, I've never been more embarrassed and more disappointed in the Latin community for even voting or thinking of voting for Trump. Voting against your own self-interest is counterproductive. It's insane to me. Like, y'all don't make no sense. What's not clicking? And let's be very serious. Latinos voted for Trump because they want to be as close to whiteness as possible. It's because they're anti-black. it's because of the internalized racism. It's because of the pure not even internalized, it's for the outward racism. That's really mainly what it was. And let's not forget the misogyny of it all. Let's not forget that, because one thing a Latina woman is gonna do is gonna put her man, her son, any male figure in the Latin community up on a pedestal with ease. And that's exactly what the Latino men thrive on. The women always putting them up on a pedestal. And that's really the sad part about it, because there is no reason why they should have been voting for Trump at all. I'm disappointed.
It's time that these Latinos for Trump get a taste of their own medicine and a taste of poetic justice.
The regret is visible everywhere. Social media is flooded with posts from Latinos who voted for Trump and now find their kids are detained, their businesses are struggling, and their communities are under attack. Some are begging for support, pleading for change, and even admitting that they made a mistake. Others, however, remain silent, unwilling to publicly acknowledge that they were misled. Some are still holding on to the hope that this is all just temporary, that somehow they will be spared. But the reality is, the damage is already done. There is also an undeniable racial aspect to this regret. Some Latinos convinced themselves that aligning with Trump will bring them closer to whiteness, distancing themselves from immigrants, refugees, and other marginalized groups. Many rejected the idea of voting for a black woman because of deep-rooted internalized racism, believing that Trump, despite his history of derogatory remarks, would better represent their interest. The irony is that in the end, they were never seen as part of the privileged class they sought acceptance from. They were simply used for votes and discarded when they were no longer politically useful. And yet, despite all of this, some Latinos still refuse to acknowledge the truth. They cling to the belief that if they just work harder, prove themselves more, or show more loyalty, they will eventually be accepted. But history has shown that no amount of assimilation, no amount of loyalty, and no amount of self-distancing will ever be enough. At the end of the day, Trump's America was never built for them. Now they face a choice. Will they acknowledge their mistake, stand up for their communities and demand real change, or will they quietly move on, hoping that the next political cycle will somehow be different? Will they finally recognize that supporting policies rooted in fear and division will always come back to harm them in the end? Or will they fall for the same trap again the next time a politician dangles false promises in front of them? Because if there's one lesson to be learned from this, is that loyalty to an ideology that was never meant to include you will always end in betrayal. Latinos for Trump found out the hard way, and now they are paying the price. But what do you all think? Please leave your comments down below. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video about teachers for Trump and their regrets. And if you enjoy such kind of videos, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, the Joy Report out.